solve these problems effectively and equitably. So I'd also like to introduce my chair. She's online. I'm not sure. Yeah. She's online. Her name is Dr. Gama van der Haar. She's from Wageningen University and Research from the Netherlands. So she'll also be chairing a portion of this session. So the session is going to be structured as follows. So there are going to be 3 parts to this session. The first part, we are going to have all the presenters present all their presentation, and then we are going to go into a collaborative. We are going to go into a collaborative talk where the panelists will talk about their will talk about their experiences, the work they've done, the challenges they've had, and it's just going to be an open discussion, and then my chair will anchor. What would you say about if your language speak in your country, what would it say? I just want 3 answers. What would your land say in your country about the way you govern it? Does it feel? Sorry? The second option. Unprotected and unheard. That's your answer? Can I have 2 more answers?
I feel for me, my country, the land would say it has mixed emotions. On some part, it's not really protected, but on some other parts, it's also partially protected. So it's also unheard. Yeah.
So unheard, mixed review. Can I have one last one? One sip. Exploited. So basically the second part of unheard and unheard. Thank you. So with that, I want you to keep that answer you had in mind as we go through the presentations, what the presenters say, and then perhaps we will have some kind of different perspective moving forward. And with that, we'll obviously wrap up the session and we'll know how to move forward with the discussions and presentations we had. So I would like to introduce the first presenter, and I'm very proud to present this person because she's also my colleague. We work together. Her name is Ms. Benihafwa Ricardo. She's all the way from Namibia. She's a co-manager of NELGA Southern Africa. And her work focuses on capacity development, collaboration, and advancing applied research in improved land governance in the region. She's also an active member in supporting regional platforms for knowledge exchange and deeply committed in elevating African expertise within the land policy spaces. Ms. Ricardo, please come up to the podium. And then our second presenter will be, okay, she's not in the room right now, so I'll just skip her, but she'll be the second presenter. The third presenter would be Mr. So sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Yeah, but if you do come up, please do say your name properly. Mr. Dinesh Taka, and he is the executive scholar in Nepal, and he's a land specialist, and he's also involved in agriculture, climate, resilience, with over 13 years of research and development expertise across Nepal and South Asia. And he has worked extensively in intersection of land governance, climate change adaptation, disaster risk reduction, and food security, just to name a few. He's also worked with a lot of institutions. He doesn't want to show it, but his resume is quite impressive. So thank you, Mr. Tapa. All right. Our fourth presenter is Dr. Hassan Bauma Shaka. She is the Executive Director of Center for Indigenous Peoples Research and Development in Nepal. Her work focuses on elevating indigenous knowledge, cultural values, and customary institutions as essential pillars for sustainable governance of forest, ecosystem, and biodiversity, and climate change. Thank you. And then the last person presenter is Dr. Teresa Alma. She's a respected scholar from Uganda. She's a social activist and one of the most influential voices of customary land rights in East Africa. Dr. Alma, please. Okay, so we'll start with the presentations now with Ms. Penhako Ricardo. I'll also be co-presenting with her, so I'll take over from her at some point. Ms. Penhako, please take it. Thank you. Oh, so sorry, I forgot one panelist. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Her name is Anu Verma from the International Land Collusion, and she's the Asian Regional Coordinator.
But I can come whenever.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, moderator, for giving me the privilege and the floor. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here at the Indian Land Development Conference. My name is Penhako Ricardo. I know it's a little bit tricky to pronounce my name, so you can call me Penny. And as my colleague has mentioned, that we are going to be co-presenting, and we both work as co-managers for the Network of Excellence on Land Governance in Africa, also known as NELGA, but Southern African Group. So it is an honor to represent our institution, that is the Namibia University of Science and Technology, also known as NUST. And so today I will be sharing the work of NELGA, basically experiences from NELGA, Africa, and also Southern Africa, and also to explore potential avenues for the South-South collaboration. So let's get to know NELGA Africa. I understand that NELGA is a very famous initiative, and with this slide, just to talk a little more about NELGA, especially for those people that might not know about NELGA. So who is NELGA? NELGA stands for the Network of Excellence on Land Governance in Africa, and it is a continental initiative by the African Union under its Land Policy Initiative, also now known as the African Land Policy. Not sure if you've heard about ILDC. And NELGA is supported by three main partners, that is the African Union, GIZ, our funder, as well as the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. So NELGA is a network, and it brings together over 70 universities and research institutions that are all across Africa that are committed to improving education, training, research, yes, and training in land governance. So the goal of NELGA is simple, and that is to bring together universities, that is to basically ensure that universities and research institutions across Africa are evidence-based, produce evidence-based policy, and are involved in decision-making. And so the network connects academic, research, and policy. So NELGA operates within regional nodes, and there are 6 regional nodes. A node in the northern parts of Africa, Morocco. There is also a node in the western parts of Africa, the Anglophone, which is Ghana. Then we also have the Francophone Senegal. Then we also have in East Africa, which is Tanzania. There's also another NELGA node there, and then we also have another one in Central Africa, and then the last one in Southern Africa. And I am proud to share that the NELGA Southern African Node is hosted by the Namibia University of Science and Technology within the Department of Land and Spatial Sciences in Namibia, and that is where we are from. And that is also where my colleague and I coordinate the activities and work of NELGA Southern Africa. So NELGA is guided by 4 strategic pillars, and these pillars continue to guide our work and focus area as a network. The first pillar being strengthening education and training, where NELGA supports African universities and institutions to revise and develop their degree programs in land governance. And so far, 29 programs have been revised in 23 countries across Africa, so that's an achievement. Then we also have the second pillar, which is networking. So NELGA really brings together researchers, policymakers, and practitioners through workshops, conferences, regional meetings, training sessions, collaborative projects, and even collaborative sessions such as this, like the one we are having right now. And then the third pillar is policy research. NELGA supports applied research that fits directly into policy development. So majority of our partners have really been involved in work that influence policy across the different countries, including Namibia, Tanzania, Ghana, the Gambia, and many others. And the fourth pillar is data management. So NELGA supports open data systems and knowledge repositories to enhance knowledge sharing. And so together these pillars ensures that NELGA is not just producing research, but it is also strengthening land institutions and also informing policy as well as empowering people. Okay. So NELGA Southern Africa, in NELGA in general, our partnerships and collaboration is a partnership with purpose. So it means that NELGA works with over 30, the Southern African Node works with over 30 partners and universities across 12 countries in Southern Africa that are all coordinated through NAST. And what is presented on this slide are the partner universities that we work with. These are just some of them. Okay, so within this partnership, we've been able to coordinate workshops, conferences, and one of the key activities of NELGA Southern Africa is really that it does not only bring together academics and researchers, but also people from multi-stakeholders from the different fields and bring different ideas and knowledge from the different industries. And these ideas are then bridged to achieve a common goal, and that is to strengthen land governance, to make land governance inclusive and more fair. And so this basically, we have been hosting several training sessions, conferences, webinars, and whenever there is a call for whenever there is a conference, we always, NELGA Southern Africa always ensures that it's always keen to holding a NELGA session such as this session that we are currently having. So on this slide, presented on this slide are some of our other institutional partners and organizations, including the GIZ, our funder, GLTN, and YILA. YILA is the Youth Initiative for Land in Africa. It's one of the biggest youth organizations in Africa. And it also goes to show that the youth are also represented and they are not left behind. So really, this partnership creates an environment of collaborative work that brings together research, capacity development, as well as policy influence. So one of the key achievements of NELGA in general is capacity development. And I personally think that strong land governance begins with people who are empowered, people who are motivated and are capable. And some of the examples of our partnership in terms of, some of the examples of our of capacity building by NELGA Africa is our partnerships with several organizations such as the German Academic Exchange Services and universities across Africa. That has been able to support over 3,500 young professionals. And also, it includes awarding over 160 scholarships, as well as over 300 vocational experts that are trained through short courses, programs, online programs. So what's encouraging about this is that nearly half of the participants are women, and this is a reflection of NELGA's commitment to gender inclusivity and also gender balance. So many of these graduates now hold a leadership position in the different sectors, including academia, civil society, and others. And when we talk about NELGA's impact, it's not just education, but we are also talking about empowerment and transformation through capacity building. So beyond education, NELGA's greatest, one of NELGA's strengths is also its ability to reach research and policy. So NELGA ensures that the work that is generated is not just left sitting on the shelves, but it is translated into practical action. And this policy connection is made possible through the support of communication platforms such as the African Journal of Land Policy and Geospatial Sciences, of X publication, and many other platforms such as the African Land Policy Conference that just took place last week in Addis Ababa, and many other workshops and conferences to just really share NELGA's work with not just academics and researchers, but also people from the different industries such as the policymakers and practitioners who might need the evidence the most. So I'll end here and then over to my colleague.
Okay, so I would basically like to go deeper on how she just spoke about NELGA Africa in general, but right now I want to go into what we as NELGA Southern Africa look down to bring all of this that she spoke about into practice. And it's also still based on the 4 pillars that she talked about earlier. And NELGA Southern Africa is based on trying to bring these 4 pillars to life by bringing up opportunities for collaboration. And one of them, as you can see on the screen, is curricular development. So basically what we do is develop or develop land-related academic programs that also relate to real-life experiences in Africa and Southern Africa specifically. One example we have is in November 2023, we had a curricular development workshop where we invited people from the corporate world, students, lecturers, policymakers. So basically at this conference, we discussed and identified gaps that exist within each industry and came up with a better curriculum which makes sure that universities and institutions are teaching students for the upcoming for the future, teaching them on how to bridge the existing gap. And then 2, we do training. We build capacity for transformative land policy process in the AU member states. And in Southern Africa, we have partners like South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, you can name them. And we just launched MOOC last month, TILA mean Teaching Essentials on Responsible Land Administration, and it was in partnership with GLTN, which is network. Another one is education and research, and we support academic training on land professionals through knowledge generation and sharing. And one of the ways we did that is that in August of 2024, we hosted a writing shop. So we invited students from various fields. We invited professionals on how to disseminate of their knowledge or how they can write academically and publish in journals and all those public spaces. So, and then right now we are busy with Southern Africa guidebook. So the guidebook will serve the purpose of representing Southern Africa. So this guidebook will have all our partner universities and what courses they offer on land in their university. So it will be universities and institutions. So everything is in one handbook that will be available online. So all the information, if you're looking to study in Southern Africa, all the information is at one spot that you can download and have access to. And then lastly, we have policy action. This is where we partner with the government and institutions to develop and revise and implement land policies and strengthen land governance. And we had a project in a town called Okahanja in Namibia, and we partnered with shack dwellers and NAG. NAG is basically Namibian Housing Action Group, and through them they worked us with the municipality of Okahanja to communicate or bridge the gap between us, the institution, and the people on ground, because that's the gap we have, and you need to communicate effectively with them. And that's how we went about that project. Here is basically all the reports and about the book that we launched. You can find this on our recently launched website. If you scan that code, you go to the website, you have access to all the information there. And then also, as part of our achievements, we also launched a podcast on YouTube. This is our mentor. And his YouTube channel is basically about land and academia, everything land and academia. The YouTube channel is called Ichibu, so he discusses everything on academia, land governance, and everything in that context. And I'm the producer and editor for the YouTube channel, so if you want to start a podcast, I'm the right person to come to. Yeah, and then moving forward from here, I would like for us to, looking ahead from here, I would like to strengthen land governance, not just in sitting in rooms, but also basically collaborating, because I know, especially between Africa and Asia, because I know that we have similar problems, but if we come together, we can co-create solutions through these points on the screen. And yeah, I would like to thank you all for listening. This is our contact details if you want to ask us any question or reach out. We'll be here. And thank you for your time. And yeah, this is the end of our presentation. Back to moderator. So if you have any questions, please write them down. We'll have the question and answer session later. So the next presenter is from Uganda. Ms. Oma, am I pronouncing that? Alma. Ms. Alma, please the floor.
Sure. So I have a short documentary as it is being set up. I want to just join with the last presentation is that I'm a proud associate of NELGA. There is a very famous program, short course, it's called the Political Economy of Land Governance in Africa, where it's run at the University of the Western Cape, at the Institute for Poverty, Land Poverty and Agrarian Studies, and PLUS. And I am a facilitator, lecturer in that course, and for the last 3 years, we train practitioners, government officials, and really expose them to the history and the politics and the economics of land. And many people, at the end, they say, oh, this course has opened my eyes. And they begin to see things from. So I'm a proud associate of what NELGA is doing. So yes, you can play this short documentary. I hope our chair is able to view or see. If not, we'll send you a link. Let's move the picture away. It's covering some of the letters.
NZ had earlier implemented a project where it was financing land documentation in communities in Lamo and Teso. So our role as LEM was to find out, first of all, what is the status communities that had been helped to document their land. How are they using the land documents that they have? So what is the status? So that status leads to understanding what exists from the side of financial institutions to understand, are they aware of these documents? If they're aware, are they giving loans to customers?
Land or get any land, get your land to the bank without client consent, it is called invalid. So in the market system, it will be seen as this is hindering the market, but also it is a way that people are safeguarding themselves from being dispossessed of the land. There's a policy brief there which has more information. I brought a few copies if you're interested. Please speak. Yes, thank you. Yes. Yeah, my time was up. I had more to say, but time was up.
Thank you, Dr. Teresa, for a very insightful presentation on Uganda and how customary land and all the registration goes about. It's always different it's always good to know how things are going in other countries, because it's very different from the outcomes that we have. As you mentioned, one solution won't solve every land governance problem in every country. So I really like the angle that you came. I learned something new today. Okay, so the next presenter is Mr. Papa.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you guys for your presentations, and it was very insightful for us. Before going to my presentation, I would like to share some broad context of the Nepal, how the land context is there. You know that in Nepal, the land is the main livelihood asset for people there, and people having the land, as the people have the land as the biggest of the largest assets, they are the main asset. But what we see is that there is a huge historical, I would say the historical injustice there. That's why the land, there is a large section of the people are excluded from the land. That's the one thing. And there are several initiatives that we have initiated as a land reform process. Yeah. But what we see in the current context is that it hasn't bring much tangible impact at the local level that we had to achieve, because it's been already 75 years of huge debate. It's in the political level, it's in bureaucracy level, it's in the people level. So there's going the debates going from last 75 years, but we have achieved that tangible is that we should have till now. Yeah? So that's the scenario that we see. And in our context, basically when we talk about the land governance, yeah, and land administrations, broadly we talk on the land reform processes. But now we, in last couple of decades, now there are the issues of people now talking on how we improve our land governance, how we improve our land administrations. Yeah. So now the discourse of land reform is now shifting in our context. So there are the multiple issues that has been cross-cutting issues that is associated with land administration and land governance, like gender and climate. That is the more core part of our discussion today. These are the two things that we now in current context are in the debate, yeah, from the global perspective and also from the national perspective. So in context of gender, if you go to the gender, yeah, we know that, as I already mentioned, that there is a historical injustice and the land holding is large population or portion of people are excluded from the land. So obviously it also implies to the female, from the gender lens also, the exclusion is there. from the that we can see. So we from the data that only the 20% of the land title is within the woman. So that's the case. That also I know that this is also not up to date data. This is not census kind of data that I think so. So that's the one thing. And so basically now there is a debate that how we can ensure the issue of land administration and land governance from the gender perspective. Yeah. So there are a few things that we see from the policy perspective. The constitutions has guaranteed for the property rights to women that we can see, and also there is some civil code and all these things that ensures the property right to women that we can see. But what we see at the practical level, at the community level, at the local level, household level, it has not been yet executed at the tangible level that we can see. The problem, there are several our social, cultural, and patriarchal, and all these kinds of different layers of problem has actually covered the problem, and it has been actually intensified, and we are not able to solve it, that we can see. Yeah. So there are some initiatives that we have initiated, that we have here the two high-level persons and university persons. They know much better than me. They are closely working on land and administrations and these issues. Yeah, why we are not able to execute, and why we are not able to bring some results, tangible results on that aspects. Yeah. So maybe later on we can also share some insights from them also. So that's the one. And some policy initiatives that we even the Polar and our organization, NLRF and CSR, we are working with community. We are also working to initiate, to promote, yeah, like the joint land ownership. There is the one initiative, the policy, progressive policy that we have started, the joint land ownership for the work. So it's tax-wise, everything-wise, very nominal. They don't have to pay much, but also the people at the local level, if you see, if we initiate some projects, we initiated some development initiatives, there seems some results. But at the sensitization level, the people are not yet sensitized to initiate from themselves, so that women get empowered. Yeah? So that's the problem that we can see. In some when we initiate some projects or some kind of development initiative, there we get some kind of results and numbers we find. But at the national scales, we haven't yet achieved much on that aspects also. So that's the one thing that, yeah. And another thing that I see on this aspect is that what the culture that you mentioned earlier, also the cultural aspects of inheritance, female members, that looks complicated. That improve these things. That I think we need to still work on that. So what I think is that not only including the policy at the law level, not working at the law level, it manifests at the local level. There is much need of local level presentations and sensitizing activities and cultural related aspects. There we need to work, and only we can have results that we can transfer land rights and land related property rights to women here. So I think on that aspects, Nepal, in South Asia, we need to have a lot of initiative, intervention, even from ILDC, and we are doing a lot of land movements, human land movements that we are conducting. So yeah, some positive results, some prospects that we can see, but there still needs a lot of solid. Oh, okay. Thank you. So in that aspects, I've seen some examples of the urban area that there are now in urban areas now women have while selling the lands now the property rights they have been transferred to the female members. Yeah. Sometimes the land titles are given to them. But what we see is that, but that's only for in urban area, urban centric area, because the tax is minimized in that context. To save the tax money, they used to do like that. But in larger level, that's not for their empowerment, their ownership, and not for their other kinds of legal entitlements. So that's only for saving the taxes that we can see. So that's the provision that I see in the urban areas. Yeah. So that's the things that I think we need to reword these things. Yeah. That's the one thing. And other thing is that from the gender aspect, I think the land is so complicated while going to transfer the land ownership, land certificates. Yeah. That's also when we see that there are a lot of complications when going to the offices, land related offices. Usually women never go. Only the male members, other those who are informed, aware, and those people go and complete these processes. So I would say that the complicated process. I don't know why it has been so complicated, and even the people don't want to go around and complete these processes of transferring this. Yeah, that's the thing that I think we need to improve it from the administration proposed wise. It should be simple, digital, not much complicated. Yeah, no need to give some money or these kinds of something that we see. Even myself, if I think as a informed citizen, yeah, but I also find some kind of complications while going and having these kinds of issues, complications that we suffer. So in that context, the women are very far behind on that part. So I think there we need to work on that. So these are the things that I think we need to work on administrative for the women and females. Yeah, they should be trained, they should be promoted, they should be encouraged to join in land administration offices, and they should be encouraged so that we can work on it, so that people will think on from the other side as well. And also, I think there's some literacy, land literacy, and all these things that we need to work and we need to disseminate from the woman's perspective, gender perspective, so that we can have a better land administration from the gender perspective. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tapa, for your presentation. Just for the sake of time, we'll move on to the next presentation. Dr. Shaka.
I have a short video and then I'll talk.
असोज 11 देखि 13 गतेसम्म परेको अविरल वर्षाका कारण काठमाडौँ उपत्यकामा मानवीयसँगै ठूलो भौतिक क्षति भयो। यो घटनाको साक्षी बने आदिवासी जनजातिको नेतृत्वमा आधारित अनुसन्धान र शिक्षा विषय दोस्रो अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय सम्मेलन। विभिन्न 16 देशका प्राध्यापक, अनुसन्धानकर्ता, शिक्षाविद, अभियन्ता र आदिवासी जनजाति अगुवाहरूको सहभागितामा आयोजित सम्मेलनमा जलवायु परिवर्तनका असर विलीनीकरणमा आदिवासी शिक्षा र प्रथाजनित अभ्यासको महत्त्वबारे चर्चा भयो।
हाम्रो जुन देशको आफ्नो कल्चर छ, हाम्रो भाषा संस्कृति, त्यो कुरालाई त्यो करिकुलममा पढाइरहेको छ कि छैन भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा छ।
The U.S. is a partner strengthening regional climate resilience and adaptation and is committed to working with indigenous communities to ensure their voices and perspectives are heard.
सन् 2024 सेप्टेम्बर 29 र 30 तारिख 2 दिनसम्म काठमाडौँमा चलेको सम्मेलनको आयोजना आदिवासी जनजाति अनुसन्धान तथा विकास केन्द्र सिप्रेटले गरेको हो। आदिवासीको नेतृत्वमा गरिएका एवं गरिने अनुसन्धान र अनुभवलाई एक ठाउँमा ल्याउँदै जलवायु परिवर्तन, आधुनिक शिक्षा, विकास र संरक्षणले कसरी आदिवासी जनजातिको खाद्य प्रणाली, आर्थिक गतिविधि र आदिवासीको सार्वभौम सत्ताका संरचनालाई अवरोध पुर्याएको छ भन्ने विषयमा छलफल गर्नु सम्मेलनको उद्देश्य थियो।
हाम्रो मेन तपाईको चाहिँ गोल भनेको नै त्यो प्याराडाइम शिफ्ट रियालिटीमा ल्याउनको लागि हामीले कोसिस गरिरहेको छौँ।
सम्मेलनमा विभिन्न 6वटा उपविषयमा विगत छलफल भयो।
This message is to the Western world. Do not induce your thought of the conservation on the local communities.
यसका साथै आदिवासी जनजातिको ज्ञान, सांस्कृतिक मूल्य र मान्यता, प्रथाजनित कानुनको महत्त्व लगायत फरक 30वटा विषयमा प्रस्तुतिकरण थिए। यस अवसरमा विद्यार्थीहरूले विभिन्न विषयमा गरेका अध्ययन अनुसन्धानको प्रदर्शनी गरिएको थियो। आदिवासी जनजाति नेतृत्वमा अनुसन्धान र शिक्षाको महत्त्व तथा अनुसन्धानलाई आदिवासी मैत्री कसरी बनाउन सकिन्छ भन्ने सवालमा विज्ञेशको बहस पनि सम्मेलनमा भयो।
Climate change, indigenous people are at the lower end of that. We are being severely impacted in terms of our lives, our lands, and our children, future generations, forests, food supplies, and we are facing a very, very tenuous future.
They need some more supportive policy to enable them to have a more self-generating economy in the local areas.
प्रथाजनिक अभ्यासहरू के छन् हैन, डिकोलोनियल एजुकेसन भनेको कसरी अध्ययन अनुसन्धान अगाडि बढाउने, समुदायमा आधारित ज्ञानलाई कसरी विकास गर्ने लगायतका विषयहरू उहाँले पढ्नु भएको छ।
हरेक ज्ञान विज्ञानका कुराहरू चाहिँ ती ज्ञान के भाषाहरूभित्र छन्।
आदिवासी जनजाति नेतृत्वमा शिक्षा र अनुसन्धान सम्बन्धी दोस्रो अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय सम्मेलनले काठमाडौँ घोषणापत्र सार्वजनिक गर्यो। उक्त घोषणापत्र जलवायु परिवर्तन सम्बन्धी संयुक्त राष्ट्र सङ्घीय खाका UNFCCC कोप 29 बाकु अजरबैजान, UNCCD कोप 16 रियाद साउदी अरब र जैविक विविधता सम्बन्धी महासन्धि CBD कोप 16 काली कोलम्बियामा पनि सार्वजनिक तथा वितरण गरिएको थियो। यसबाट राष्ट्रिय तथा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय स्तरमा नीति निर्माण र निर्णय प्रक्रियामा आदिवासीको दृष्टिकोण र समाधानमा उनीहरूको प्रतिनिधित्व सुनिश्चित हुने अपेक्षा गरिएको छ।
Most people try to treat procrastination.
Okay, thank you so much. As I have introduced that, my name is Pasim Thomas Sherpa, work for Center for Indigenous People Research and Development. I wear multiple hats. I also teach in the university, Catholic University, but also affiliated with the University of Michigan, USA, and University of British Columbia, Canada, Bangalore University, Philippines, and Open University in Bangkok. So as you have seen, that was the second initiation that we moved ahead for indigenous-led research and education and development. And that was one of my passion, and that was one of our work in CIPRE, that we would like to bring the paradigm shift in the research, because we no longer have a capacity to bear the research as usual, the architect of research that undermined how indigenous people even looked, And it's always been seen from the Western modern worldviews, and we try to take a different momentum that how we see ourselves and writing our own stories and from the lived experience, from the indigenous methodology. And that is what I also teach in the university, and that is how we are taking this movement. And that was what the university is moving ahead, and we started after many years of work at the global level in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNCCC, where I followed more than 2 decades. And the interesting part of the UN climate change movement, that adoption of local communities and indigenous peoples platform, that is called SC within the UNCCC, that is one of the constituent body of the UNFCCC. And that for the first time in the history of 2 years, 2 decades of the struggle of indigenous peoples and local, that you may have heard also the 8J article that how traditional knowledge is important for the biodiversity intactness, And within these two conventions of the UN and also UNCCD, the climate desertification, that all that indigenous knowledge, local knowledge, the basis for climate adaptations, desertifications, biodiversity intactness, and also the the climate resilience. And most recently, we had a secret co-hosted the IPIC-based global workshop in Nepal, and that was actually, we worked on the spatial planning and ecological connectivity, and that refers to the lands and forests and the water, and that 3 components is so basic for our identity, our values, our practices, and to have an intergenerational transfer to be continued by our future generation. Because I don't have much time, but I will be happy to respond. But I'm also learning a lot in the lands issues. I'm really glad to be introduced our colleagues from government and also from the academic and also non-academic. But and this is the discourse that the CIPRED initiated, that not just one in the academic, but also academic, non-academic, and also community actors, and also all the national and international alliances, and including the UN agencies, because this is not a single moment that we can move ahead. This is a collective moment, and through the connection, through the network, and through our mutual understanding and cooperation, nothing is impossible. We can have the possibility of a well-being of our communities and our sustainable world, where our future generation can live with the respect and dignity with a sustainable future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Verma, please. The floor is yours. For the sake of time, 8 minutes.
Yes. And please.
I just forgot to share. We just published this book, and actually I led this research on the indigenous people struggle within the protected area. This is the study that I carried out in India, Cambodia, Thailand, and Nepal. And my colleague Nitya is here, who assisted me in my work in India. Thank you so much. Just to acknowledge. This is for you. I brought it for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, this entire session is very, very important, because I think what is the aim, how I understand it, is that why we are talking about, shall I move there? Okay, so why this is really important for us to actually be in this room together, because this is about South-South collaboration, and why we need to talk, and we should be talking more, because what connects us very much as South-South is our histories. The colonial extractive, the experiences that we and the people of our lands has had. So therefore, what I feel is, and Latin America, Asia, I think these are places which from where you can hear the stories of change, the impact, and also the stories of the indigenous wisdom. And that's what we are talking about, and that is common amongst us. So I'll not go into what International Land Coalition is doing. Just very briefly, that what we do is actually we collaborate and connect these South-South experiences of small-scale farmers, indigenous people, women, youth, pastoralists, and to bring a narrative shift. and to also challenge the Western, paradigm of development, because that's where we are told, which is very extractive in nature, the development paradigm which we are following. And therefore, in India, I think these voices are just giving you one or two examples, not much, but just to give a flavor of how India, with the experiences from last 75 years, have made a lot of progress on some of the great land reform, experiences and initiatives that it has brought in. The one which you might know and you might be hearing a lot from in other sessions is the Forest Rights Act. That is a very powerful act that gives power to people to control their land, to manage their land, to access their land. We have experiences on women's land rights, that we have the Hindu Succession Act, Amendment Act, which gives the land rights to the daughters from the natal family, which is really powerful. We do have some initiatives where, with some fee waiver, how the women's land rights can be promoted, and there have been a very good examples. There are some, and so the list can go so on. I'm not saying everything is going very well in India. What I'm saying is that there are legislations which are powerful. There are extremely important gaps which we need to address, and which are there, because of which we are not able to reach the potential that this legislations or these schemes give us. So there is a lot to do, but there is a lot to learn from our experienced histories of shared exploitation to shared solutions that our communities bring in. And therefore, how should we collaborate, talk to each other more, and find these spaces, sometimes in Asia, sometimes in Africa, sometimes in Latin America, to have these dialogues together. And that's what I wanted to say. And let's, as one of the promises and hopes to take with us is, let's have some action points to take forward with us, to also learn from the communities we work, to also replicate in our own respective ways, or of course contextualize it, but there is a lot to learn, and that's what is needed. And therefore we need to change this narrative that we are the receivers, but we are the givers to the world. So therefore, let's do it together. Thanks.
Thank you so much for the presentation. This was the last speaker. For my chair online, can we please have an open discussion and question and answer for about 5 minutes, and then we can perhaps wrap up the session. Can take over.
Yes, sorry, it was a challenge. I was so happy with what I heard, but it was really a challenge to follow it, and the line was cut a few times. So Elvina, please tell me how much time is there in the session?
About 5 minutes for the discussion and Q&A. So let's just merge the two. Perhaps give a summary of all the discussions, and then we have 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so so my name is Kamma van der Haar. I'm from the Netherlands, working on, I'm a social scientist, and I've also been with Landa. So thank you very much for having me here. It's, like I said, a challenge. So let me just pick out a few things that I found, that I heard, that I thought were very important to highlight, and that I found very inspiring. And I'll go in the order in which we've heard the people. From what Nelga shared, for me it was impressive and very inspiring to hear what they have been doing. I hope it, and I took one major word from where they ended with, exchange, exchange, exchange. So it's, I think, an excellent opportunity that you're having there in the room and in the conference to start doing that, and draw inspiration from the different lines of work they have.
Now then, Alma's story from Lemu, I only heard the last few minutes and I was very sorry for what I missed, because what I heard, I thought, yes, this is what we need to question the formats which have been delivered on how to achieve 10-year security. So I think that that kind of discussion on, so those formats that are being delivered as solutions from Washington in some cases, or from whichever desk somebody drafted those things, they need to be rethought from and with the realities and from and with the communities that are affecting them. So I was I'm very keen to learn more from Lemu's experiences, and I think there are lessons in there for each and every one of you. It reminds us that people are drawn into certification schemes without having the full picture of what it might mean. And there's a role for all of us in cautioning and in pausing and in saying this has to be done from the people and in line with their needs. Now from Danesh, I also heard, the sound was bad, but I heard him speak about, if I understood correctly, the hesitation people may have, and I think in particular women, to go collect certificates. I hope I understood correctly. I think my part of the reflex in the land governance community is to respond with more awareness raising. What I pick up from the discussion is, let's first understand where that hesitation comes from. Maybe there's a message in there. I'm not saying awareness raising should not be part of the package, but there should be a balance between awareness raising, which often is also about convincing people of certain solutions, and about understanding what is behind people's hesitation. The analysis that is in there about the risks or the future trajectories of some of these things that are being proposed. So that's a lesson there. And then finally on, well, there were two more speakers, really very important to bring in indigenous methodologies and indigenous knowledge, not only into biodiversity and conservation, but also in understanding land governance and the connection between land, water, forests within understandings of the territory. Also there I missed a part, so this is the part that I could pick up on. And then the last speaker, I missed your name, but I think you made such a good, pointed argument for why this South-South exchange is so important, and I congratulate the organizers on doing that. First of all, the shared histories, the extractivist colonial histories that you're still, in a way, feeling the effects of, in inequalities that are created, in landscapes that have been altered. That's one. And then on the other hand, that the solutions are thought from the center towards the global south, rather than being thought from the challenges of the global south. And I think you have each other to start building such new paradigms. So let me pause here and give the word back to you, to those in the rooms. And again, thank you for having me. And I'll just, it's hard to moderate not being there, but I'm not sure I can see everyone. Can you maybe just give people the word and because I can't see everyone, so I can't see.
Okay, I'll take it from here.
Yeah, I think you can manage that better than I can from here.
Okay, so thank you so much. So right now we can go into question and answers. If anyone has a question, one or two questions that we can pose to the presenters. Any questions? So if there are no questions, I believe the message was loud and clear, and you understood everything. So I would like to go back to the question that I asked before. What would land say if you could speak? And it's clear that land, there's a problem. We can see that there's a problem. And now it's up to us to resolve that problem. And we shouldn't just meet here and speak about it. Right now, there are collaborators. We are all here doing different things. We need to exchange knowledge, do collaborative work to solve these problems. And that's on the note that I want to end this session on: collaboration and knowledge exchange. So we can, as South-South, between Africa and Asia, as we have the same history, we can help co-create solutions to solve these problems. I'll say, okay? Yes, sir?
I want to ask one question here.
Okay.
The question is about Nelga. In Namibia, is Nelga also working for customary land, customary forest? Can I get some explanation from you?
Okay, so in Namibia specifically, our partners, some of our partners do work with projects that are related to customary. But in the other different countries, there are also some research work being done, and some of this work is available on our website. And I think my colleague said she shared I don't know if she shared a QR code that if you'd like to get into some of the information, that perhaps you can stream the website.
Thank you.
Just to also add, as she said, we work with various projects. We don't just work alone, we have a lot of collaborators. So if we work in different places, we team up with like GLTN to help us with the tools to help us do the work, for example, to achieve the outcomes of that specific project and so on. But everything is definitely on our website. Now that last website, I can read the QR code and you can see the outcomes of reports or projects we've worked on in the past and currently now. So you can get more insights on customary land.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you guys, thank you so much for being here. Your time is highly valued, and yeah, this is the closing of the session.
It was lovely meeting you.
Can we please get a group photo outside?
Can you be here, please? And the last speaker. I'm Anu from International Land Coalition.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, and can you please be here? We are looking for the photograph.
Photo.